Should I make sure my kids look the part? Now, this is an interesting question, because what this is a question, really, kind of the underscoring of that is this, is that should I make sure that my kids look like they're really following God? And isn't that kind of the crux of the problem? Like that we're more interested in what people see than what is real and what is? So should I make sure my kids look the part? Here's the answer. Number one, authenticity in our faith is far better than putting on a good show. Young people today are looking for authenticity. They're not looking for the show. They're not looking for people who can walk the talk, but not walk the walk. I figured I shouldn't even tried that one. They're looking for people who are genuine and authentic, and that was genuine and authentic. I'm an idiot. So that's what people are looking for. That's what young people are looking for. That's the kind of people that young people want to listen to and hear from, are people who are real. In other words, kids don't want to hear from hypocrites. And we know that through the polls and through the studies that have been done. So we go back to Deuteronomy chapter 6. Let's go to verse 8, our anchor passage. Bind them as a sign on your hand and let them be a symbol on your forehead. Write them on the doorposts of your house and on your city gates. Now, again, with that passage we've got up there, what's it referring to? It's referring back to what Jesus said, or God said, in the passages just a few moments ago that we read, where he said this, love the Lord your God with all of your heart, soul, mind, and strength, right? He said that, let that be in your heart, right? Then he said, talk about it when you get up in the morning, talk about it when you go to bed at night, talk about it as you walk along the way, talk about it in your home when you sit down. Here he's saying this, now, bind them as a sign on your hand and let them be a symbol on your forehead. Write them on the doorpost of your house and on the city gates. Now, what do all of those declarations that God gives to us there, what does that point us to? It points us to an outward-facing representation. In other words, these are not internal. These are not like what's inside the house. This is what the world sees. And what the world sees is not putting on a good show. What the world sees is a life who loves the Lord their God with all of their heart, soul, mind, and strength. And it is in their heart. Let the world see it. If you were to go to Israel today, or many other Orthodox Jewish areas around the world, around the country, even here, a lot of Orthodox Jews take this verse very seriously. And what they do oftentimes, many times during the day, they will take that verse and they'll put it into practice, where they will actually, at certain times during the day, they'll take out this apparatus that wraps around their head. It's called a phylactery. And they put it around their head, and it's got this little box that's right here on their forehead. And that box is a representation of God's law, okay? And they put that right here on their forehead. And then they take a rope, a string, and they wrap it very tightly around their arm. Why? Because now they're binding it there to their hand. They've got the symbol on their forehead. If you go to Israel today, many houses there, most of the houses, even the hotel rooms, will have a little thing right outside the door. You know what that is? It goes right back to this. Write them on the doorposts of your home. And it's there wherever, the homes all over Israel, hotel rooms everywhere have that statement there. Now here's the picture. Here's the understanding thing. All of those things are things that are seen from the outside, right? And so what's the picture? The picture is here. Let people see on the outside what is on the inside. Don't just put on a show. Don't just try to make sure you put on a good game. Make sure that not people are just seeing like what you want them to see, but rather they see what is. That's what God is talking about in this passage. Make sure that the things that are in the heart is what people sees. Why? That's authenticity. And so we come back to the second answer. Should I make sure my kids look the part? Teaching your children that trying to make others think they've got it all together can actually push them away from their faith rather than draw them to it. Why? Because there's no long-lasting value to the show. There's no long-lasting value to the show. We see that even in our culture. There are TV shows that were like the top of the heap. They were the number one shows in all of America for many years. And now they've been canceled and they're off their air because people got tired of watching them, got tired of this. There are only a few Andy Griffiths out there, okay? Most shows, like they hit the trash heap of history. Why? Because there's no value in just the show. There's value in what's real. And so we have to understand and recognize, like we've got to make sure that it's who we are as an individual. It's more important to be than it is to show. The third answer to this question, should I make sure my kids look the part? Teaching your children the value of living right is far more important than teaching them to look right. Far more important than teaching them to look right. I grew up in a time when so many people, back in that day, as a guy, as a young boy growing up, if your hair got over your ears, man, you were a heathen. I mean, people would look down on you if you were a young man and your hair was a little longer, you know? And this was in an age when I grew up, like when mullets were big. Now, I know they're coming back. But back in the day, I mean, like, man, long hair was cool, you know? And so, you know, but as a Christian young kid in church, man, if I ever let my hair get a little long, man, there are people who look down on me and they think, what kind of pastor do we have around there talking about my dad? That he would let his son let his hair grow long. Like, what in the world, you know? Why? Because people were looking at the outward. They were looking at like why? Because they were using that symbol, that picture as a representation of what's in the heart. And God says, oh, no, that's not the picture. That's not the answer here. What's important is this, is that you as a follower of Christ, that you reflect what is on the inside, and what you reflect on the inside better be loving the Lord your God with all of your heart, soul, mind, and strength. That is what your heart is all about. And so teaching your children the value of living right is far more important than teaching them to look right. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7 says this. Rather, train yourself in godliness, for the training of the body has limited benefits, but, and don't miss this, godliness is beneficial in every way. In every way, godliness is beneficial. God's word, not a preacher, God's word, godliness is beneficial in every way. Want to be successful in life? Godliness is beneficial in every way. Want to be successful in business? Godliness is beneficial in every way. Want to be really successful in school? Godliness is beneficial in every way. Want to be a good husband or a good wife? Godliness is beneficial in every way. Want to be a good parent? Godliness is beneficial in every way. Want to be a good neighbor? Godliness is beneficial in every way. There's no kind of parsing the words here. There's no trying to figure out like, what does he really mean here? What God really means is this, is godliness actually makes a positive difference in everything you do. And so that's what we do. We make it real and we live that out. Make sure that we're not just teaching kids how to look right, we're teaching kids how to live right.